we're seeing a lot here in the US in different feeds about terrible people being separated from families, et cetera. But in the rest of the country, and I'm just going to put it, in a very blunt way, and in a lot of parts of the country, people are comfortable with getting rid of people that have come into the country illegally.
Look, the United States is a country of migrants. We were built on migration, and we continue to need migrants for our own economic well-being. And I think every demographic projection indicates that migration will continue to be a critical aspect of U.S. well-being and growth well into the future, particularly as the baby boom generation really accelerates its retirement. But it has to be done in a balanced way. It has to be done according to the rule of law. And I think this is where many Americans find real reasons for criticism. And the photos that we've seen in previous years about, just floods of people just coming across the border unregulated en masse, and accusations can fly and all kinds of things, but at the end of the day, there has to be a more orderly process. And so, you can overreact on both sides. And I think that's it's an easy issue to demagogue, but I think you have to really recognize what the impact is, what the value is of orderly migration, and then work toward that. But I totally agree with you, Carl. This is such a complicated issue. At one level, it stems from a very good place. That is that many people in the world want to live in the United States. That's a really good thing.
Yeah.
Our economy is stronger, quality of life is better, many things that draw folks toward the United States. And I think that's a real positive. But again, we have to do it in a balanced way. And you're not going to sustain support for migration if it's not.
And it does have to be dealt with in an economic way, because that's the part that just doesn't get talked about enough, is just that at the end of the day, people are coming because there's jobs. You've not created the mechanisms to really handle that flow. And so that goes to the flip side of what I wanted to ask you, which is that across the region, how long can this, and I don't want to call it zero, because the reality is it hasn't been zero migration. We had looked at the numbers a couple of weeks ago, and it was something like 23,000 people have crossed illegally in just the prior 3 months, and another 10,000 or so showing up at ports of entry. And so the number's never been zero. The borders are not effectively closed. There's certainly been a deterrence. But how long do you think that this low can hold, considering that there's going to continue to be both economic demand on both sides?
Well, pressure builds up, and once it does, at some point the lid blows. Every amateur cook can tell you that.